Another day, another dollar. Yeah, you know the rest. Alright, so some of you guys asked me about my trip to the Dominican Republic. So I decided I'm going to make a video about it. So since you guys want to know, I'm going to give you guys my honest thoughts. I want you to listen to my words carefully in this video. I'm not going to use the word all. I'm not going to use the words 100%. This video isn't to bash an entire country, okay? Okay. The purpose of this trip was to celebrate for accomplishing my number one goal. I made a promise to myself, once I achieve that goal, I'm going to start traveling again, right? So I'll just say that I really didn't enjoy the Dominican Republic as much. Most of you probably confused because I made a video showing the good times that I had. Yes, I had fun at certain times, but some of the locals there made my stay very uncomfortable. Whenever I was going on vacation, I'm trying to relax and have fun. I don't want to feel uneasy, you feel me? When some of the locals see me, they looked at me like I'm an easy lick. And you have to be careful because some of the locals will lie and even shed tears saying that they need financial help when they're just really looking to finesse you. And when I say locals, I'm talking about some of the men and women. And I've been to over 10 countries in my life. And in my experience, this country has been the worst when it came to begging. I know there's people out there that will say, oh no, I've been living in Dominican Republic for over 20 years and I've never seen any of this. Once again, this is my personal experience. I have eyes to see and ears to hear. My eyes don't lie. Am I saying don't go to Dominican Republic? No. If you want to go, I'll say go. But be very careful and do your research and definitely learn some Spanish. Okay, so I'll say the nonsense started on the very first day before I even got to Dominican Republic. I had booked a direct flight there, and once I got on a plane, I noticed that someone was sitting in my seat. So I pulled my boarding pass out to double check that was my seat. As I'm looking at my boarding pass, the flight attendant's saying like, oh, excuse me, sir, you need to keep moving because you're holding up the line. So I showed her my boarding pass and I said, this is my seat right here. The guy that was sitting in my seat was a Dominican dude. He said, oh, I was going to see if you could sit over there instead. I said, no, I specifically chose this seat when I booked it online. So the flight attendant starts getting all loud and says everyone needs to sit in their assigned seats. So the flight got delayed over that little silly situation. Next thing that happened, after we landed in DR, we had to walk and get our passport stamped. The girl that stamped my passport took a look at me and rolled her eyes with an attitude. I don't know what the hell that was about, but whatever. So I rented a car when I was down there. I booked it online weeks prior. And people told me I was crazy for renting a car because Dominicans drive super crazy. But the reason why I rented a car is because when I was doing my research online, a lot of people were complaining that Dominican cab and Uber drivers do a scam to try to get more money out of you and will even argue with you about it. So I figured I'd pay a little extra money for convenience and peace of mind, you feel me? So when I go to get my rental, I get hounded by Dominicans trying to offer their rental car or taxi services, but you know, I'm prepared for that because that's just what locals do when you travel overseas. So I keep walking, don't make any eye contact. Once I met up with the rental car guy, he tells me that I have to pay an extra $100 cash for the rental. I told him that I already paid online. He says yes, but I actually owe $100 more for fees that weren't included with the online price. So I looked at him and I told him I don't have $100. And of course I lied because I know how the game goes. He's like, you don't have $100? I said, nope. He's like, well, how much do you have? I said, nothing. I have nothing. So he starts huffing and puffing, getting all mad. And he says, okay, whatever, forget it. And he gives me the key. So then I went around the car, took videos and pictures of the previous damage. And he took pictures of some of my information. I was free to go. As I go to put the luggage in my trunk, some random local snatches my luggage, starts putting them in the trunk for me. I said, oh, no, I got it. He's like, no, I got it. So he puts my bags in the trunk and he shuts the trunk. Then he looks at me and says, "How was my service? How was my service? Was my service good? My service is not for free. My service not free." I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy, I just gave him $2. Damn. So later that day, I decide I want to try some local Dominican food. So I did my research online prior to coming to the yard, and I saw there was a restaurant where you could get a lot of food for cheap prices. I decided to walk from my hotel to this restaurant because there was no parking near the restaurant. It was about, I think, like a 17-minute walk. And as I'm walking, I noticed many locals are staring at me. The guys were looking at everything I was wearing, staring at me. And some of the girls were looking at me like I was some superstar. If there was a loudspeaker connected to their thoughts, you would have probably heard something like, "The bag has arrived. Ladies, I repeat, the bag has arrived. Que lo que?" So at this point, I'm starting to get a little paranoid. So I never took my phone out, and I kept my hands in my pocket as I was walking, just in case there's pickpocketers around. As I'm walking, there's guys shouting at me from across the street, asking where I'm from and if I'm American. I ignored him and I kept walking. Then there was another guy that I walked past, and instantly he's like, "Yo, man, where you from? Where you going? Where you going?" I ignored him, and this dude started following me. He's like, yo, man, stop, where you going? I help you, man. Yo, where you going? And then this dude walked beside me. So now at this point, I'm watching his every move, and I'm just looking at this dude. I'm like, yo, bro, what you doing? What you on? Like, and he throws his hands up like, "Oh, no, I your friend. I help you. Where you going? I go to help you." Oh. So I'm like, bro, I know where I'm going. He's like, "Oh, no, where you go?" I'm like, bro, I know where I'm going. And he's asking me questions like where I'm from, how long I'm going to be down here. And you know what I'm saying? Since I'm American, they can spot me a mile away. These dudes can spot me a mile away. And once I arrived to the restaurant, I said, "All right, man." And he's like, "Oh, no. The restaurant is this way." I'm like, "Nah, bro, nah." And he tried to get me to go in some alleyway. So once I go inside the restaurant, he left me alone and he just walked away. So then, while I'm in the restaurant, I asked the waiter if he could speak English, and he said, "Nah, not really." So I started speaking Spanish to him and asking what I can get as a traditional Dominican meal. So he points on the menu, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna get that." Yo, they had the slowest service, which was like a little frustrating. So I got my meal, whatever. And after I ate, I asked for the check. And once I received the check, I'm looking at the receipt. Everything is in pesos. So for 2 seconds, I'm trying to think, how much do pesos convert into USD? But I didn't really think about it too much because I figured, like, whatever. It doesn't matter. The food's not that expensive. Because I looked at the menu prices days ago when I was in the United States. And the receipt that he gave me, it shows like the exact things that I ordered. So I didn't really think much of it. So I leave the restaurant, I start walking back to my hotel. By this time, it is dark. So now I'm on super high alert, and I started thinking, maybe I should have called a cab because my research said you should never walk in the Dominican Republic at night. Hey, but I figured I'd take a chance anyway. Oh, and by the way, I recommend you guys to never ever walk in the Dominican Republic at night. Alright, so as I'm walking, I'm watching everything. And I never looked at my phone once. As I was walking, there's some dude sitting outside, and he starts talking trash to me in Spanish for no reason. I say nothing, I keep walking. Getting into a beef with a local in the DR, not a good idea if you ask me. So when I got close to my hotel, some other random locals shouted at me from across the street like, "Hey, where you going? Where you going?" And by the way, yes, they're speaking English if you're wondering. So I said nothing. I kept walking. When I was almost to my hotel, I was thinking about that restaurant bill the entire time while I was walking. So I finally pulled out my phone, went into my currency converter app to convert the pesos into USD. When I transferred it into USD, I said, oh, no. Hell nah. Hell nah, this can't be right. This can't be right. So I went online, checked my credit card statement, and sure enough, I got scammed. I got charged double and a half at the restaurant. On top of that, I gave dude a nice tip. So I was freaking pissed. But, hey, that's completely my fault for trusting the guy, thinking that he was an honest man. And that's my fault for not properly checking the bill, so I learned a lesson. And all this happened on the very first day. After that, I didn't go into any more restaurants, and I just started ordering food to my hotel. And another thing you have to watch out for is if you have a certain kind of cell phone, because the next day I was in another tourist area. I went to pull out my cell phone to take a picture, and one of the locals is across the street screaming, "Yo, is that a such and such phone?" It's crazy how he was able to identify it so well, because I have a unique cell phone cover that makes it hard to tell what it is. I'm trying to think. Another day, I was outside and there was a local playing the guitar. I don't even think he really knew how to play. He was just slowly strumming the guitar. So he walks in front of a couple to strum his little guitar. The couple didn't seem interested at all. After he was finished strumming the guitar, he stood directly over them, staring at them for literally 2 minutes. Then he just aggressively threw his hand out in front of their faces, basically saying like, "Give me money now!" So the couple got angry, they got up, walked away. And I actually walked up to the couple and I asked them, I said, "He was trying to get money out of y'all, huh?" And they were like, yeah. And we just had like a little laugh about it, you know what I mean? And another day, I went four-wheeling on the ATV. The activity that I paid for included pickup and drop off back at my hotel. So when we were on the road, we get pulled over by the police. In the Dominican Republic, the cops, they stand in the middle of the road and they just tell you to pull over. So you could get pulled over even if you didn't do anything wrong. So the driver shows the officer his license, registration, insurance, and the officer sends us along our way. And the driver looks at me and says, "You know, if you guys weren't here with me, the cop would have asked for money." I said, "Really?" And he's telling me how bad the corruption is down in the Dominican Republic. And he started telling me stories of how cops randomly pull people over, demanding money, and especially if you're from the US. And sometimes they'll tell people, if you don't give them money, then they'll take you right down to the police station. I was like, "Yo, bro, this is too much." We also have corruption in the States, but in my experience, dealing with the police in the US has never been this bad. Sheesh. So at this point, I'm ready to go back home. You know how people usually say their vacation went by so fast? My vacation was going by so slow. So on the very last day, I texted the rental car dude asking him where I'm going to drop off the rental car at. I got no response for hours, so I figured he was sleeping or something. So I text him again around like 11 a.m. I'm like, "Hello, are you there?" He instantly responds back. So I text him again. "Where am I dropping off the rental car?" He talking about some, "I'll tell you later." I say, "Yo, I need to be at the airport by 1 o'clock. I need to know something." So he immediately sends me a Google Map location of the drop off. So I checked out the hotel, drove somewhere to kill some time, then headed over to the rental car drop off location. Make a long story short, this dude gave me the wrong location. So I had to call him to get the right location, which was like right around the corner. So I pull up, dude tells me to hop in the passenger seat and he'll take me to my terminal. So he starts driving and he's telling me to give him a rating on Yelp. I said, "Okay." He said, "A good rating." I said, "Okay." So we pulled up at my terminal. I get out, grab my stuff, and I headed inside. As I'm walking, I noticed something is missing. My freaking phone. Now, I kept two phones on me. One was my main, and the other I was using for video, picture storage, and GPS navigation. So I'm panicking, going through all of my luggage, going through my pockets, everything. I texted the rental car dude and I told him that I left my phone in the cup holder. He said he's pulling back around right now. He pulls up and I'm searching the car and he's searching it with me. And he's like, brother, I don't see it. So I pulled out my main phone and I opened up the phone tracker app. And he's like, what does it say? I was like, yo, it says my phone is right here. So he goes, I'm gonna drive the car a couple of feet and let me know what your tracker says. So he pulls up and about like 40 seconds later, he's standing outside the car saying, brother, I found it. He said that my phone was in the trunk. He said that I must have left my phone in the trunk when I took out my luggage. So I said thank you, gave him some money, and proceeded back into the airport. So dude said that I must have left my phone in the trunk when I took out my luggage. Guys, he was the one that took the luggage out the trunk. And I never had my phone in the trunk because I was using that phone to navigate to the airport. But I'm extremely lucky to get that phone back because it is very, very expensive. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm surprised he even turned the car back around when I text him. So yeah, man. That's how my trip was in the DR. I had fun in spots, met some cool people, took some pictures with people, exchanged numbers with some cool people. But all that extra stuff is just too much for me. People say, no, you have to go to this city in the DR. No, it's not like that over there. No, you gotta come here. Oh, you gotta do this. You gotta do that. You gotta go to the non-tourist areas. I went to the tourist and non-tourist areas, and it was more or less the same with some of the locals. So me personally, I don't see myself ever going back to the DR. My intuition says never go back. My intuition is right most of the time, so I'm going to trust my intuition. Am I telling you not to go? No. If you want to go, then you should go. Some people have great experiences, so maybe you will also. Just do your research and be very, very careful.